Day 34 of Oscar Pistorius' trial in the North Gauteng High Court has just come and gone, and it's been a while since we've seen Oscar Pistorius in court, about 30 days, and that's because Oscar Pistorius was asked to do that 30-day psychological evaluation by Judge Masipa. Now, the reason Judge Masipa ordered that evaluation was because an expert witness intimated that Oscar Pistorius may be suffering from a generalized anxiety disorder, and the court was worried that that anxiety could have affected his actions on the morning of February 14th. But as his assessment proved, Oscar Pistorius was well aware of what was happening, and the court was told this morning that any type of anxiety that he may have felt towards crime or towards his safety in his home wouldn't have affected his actions. In fact, he was perfectly aware of what was happening around him. So then, court kicked off and the first witness was called to the stand. This was Dr. Gerard Versveld. He's actually the orthopedic surgeon who performed the amputation on Oscar Pistorius' legs when he was a baby, and he's been Oscar Pistorius' orthopedic surgeon up to this point. Now, he says after working with Oscar Pistorius for his whole life, and after examining Oscar Pistorius after Pistorius gave his testimony on the stand, he can quite confidently say from his medical perspective that Oscar Pistorius really struggles on his stumps. If he's on his stumps, Versveld said, he stumbles around in the dark, he's not very stable, and he's not able to move around. Now, of course, that brings into question the state's case that Oscar Pistorius committed the crime while on his stumps. So Harry Nell took to cross-examining Versveld and immediately asked how it was possible that Oscar Pistorius could get up in the pitch black, move fans around the room, open a sliding door, move from the tile of the bathroom to the carpet of the bedroom to whatever surface was on the balcony, and still be unsteady on his stumps. Dr. Versveld did concede that it would be very difficult for Oscar Pistorius to move around on his stumps, like his testimony said, but you could see that Versveld was still squarely in Oscar Pistorius' court, of course having treated him his whole life. Now, somewhere around this time, evidence of an extension cord was brought up in court. It seems to be relatively insignificant, but what it seems happened is that that extension cord was misplaced. It's in some of the police photographs, but it's not in evidence. It completely disappeared from Oscar Pistorius' bedroom. Judge Masipa said that she was incredibly worried about this and she wanted to know where that piece of evidence went. Now, this may seem insignificant, but what Barry Rue is trying to do is further highlight the fact that the police perhaps bumbled part of their work and that the police removed vital evidence that should actually be there. Now, once we'd moved past the fact that Harry Nell and no one else in the courtroom knew where the extension cord was, keeping in mind that Judge Masipa was unhappy about this, we moved on to the next expert witness called by the defense, and that's Ivan Lynn, who's an acoustics expert. Now, of course, Barry Rue is using him to try and figure out what screaming happened on the night and whether neighbors would have actually been able to hear it. Now, you'll remember the neighbors who testified to the fact that they definitely heard a woman screaming in fear. In fact, one witness said that she heard blood-curdling screams, was 177 meters away from Oscar Pistorius' home. So is it possible, Barry Rue asked Lynn, that these neighbors could have heard accurately what happened? Well, Lynn doesn't believe so. He says up to about 80 meters away from the home, the neighbors could have heard what happened. But 177 meters is highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely that the neighbors heard any type of scream coming from the house, or at least could properly identify who was screaming and what type of scream it was. Court adjourned at the end of Day 34, ready to be picked up at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow for Day 35.